The starship Endeavour drifted silently through the darkness of space. Its long silver frame gleamed faintly in the light of a distant sun. Inside, the crew moved with quiet purpose. They had been traveling for months beyond the edge of known space, guided by fragments of old alien signals. Captain Arlen stood at the viewing deck, his hands behind his back. His eyes, sharp and calm, were fixed on the strange shape in the distance. The object floated alone like a ghost in the void. It was not a planet or a moon. It was a station, massive, ancient, and broken in places. The station looked almost alive. Its surface was curved and twisted as if grown from bone or coral. Long towers stretched out like frozen fingers, and pieces of shattered metal drifted around it like ruins of a forgotten city. No light came from within. No signals, only silence. "This is it," Arlen said softly. His voice carried through the ship's intercom. "We've found the source of the signal." The crew gathered in the control room. There was Mira, the first officer, young but sharp-eyed. She was the one who had traced the faint alien broadcast. Beside her stood Dr. Valen, the ship's historian, always hungry for discoveries of the past. Engineer Holt and Pilot Wren completed the small team. Mira looked uneasy as she studied the alien structure. "Captain, it's strange. The signal is weak, but it doesn't feel like a distress call. More like an invitation. Or a trap." Holt muttered, crossing his arms. Arlen did not look away from the station. "We won't know until we enter." The Endeavour docked carefully against a cracked airlock on the alien hull. The metal groaned as their ship connected, but the seal held. The crew suited up, helmets clicking into place, oxygen tanks humming. "Stay close," Arlen ordered as the hatch opened with a hiss. They stepped inside. The corridor was dark and cold. Dust floated in the air like ancient ash. Strange patterns ran along the walls. Alien carvings, symbols that curved and shifted as if alive. Mira touched one with her gloved hand and quickly pulled back. "It feels warm," she whispered. "Don't touch anything," Arlen said firmly. "We don't know what we're dealing with." They moved deeper, their helmet lights cutting through the shadows. The silence pressed against them. Every step echoed like thunder in the vast, empty halls. After an hour of searching, they found a chamber unlike any other. It was circular, with a tall ceiling lost in shadows. Heavy curtains of strange fabric hung from the walls, old and tattered yet still shimmering faintly. They looked like veils of night sky woven into cloth. At the center of the room stood a raised platform, empty and waiting. Arlen approached slowly. The others followed, their breaths loud in their helmets. He reached for one of the curtains, curiosity burning in his chest. "Captain," Mira's voice trembled. She grabbed his arm. "Please stop. Something about this place, it doesn't feel right." Arlen turned his head slightly, meeting her eyes through the glass of their helmets. She was pale, her instincts screaming caution, but Arlen had led dozens of missions into the unknown. He trusted instinct, but he also trusted the human need to see what was hidden. He pulled the curtain aside. The chamber came alive. Light burst from the walls, a soft but endless glow, filling the air like dawn breaking in space. The curtains dissolved into dust as if they had only been waiting for that one touch. The platform at the center erupted with energy, projecting streams of starlight upward. A vast galaxy unfolded before their eyes. Planets, suns, nebulae, and rivers of stars spun in the air like jewels on black velvet. It was not just an image. It felt real, as if they were standing in the middle of the universe itself. The crew gasped. Mira's fear melted into awe. "It's beautiful." Dr. Valen was already scribbling notes, his hands shaking with excitement. "This isn't a map, it's a library. Look at the details. Each star system, recorded, preserved. We're looking at the memory of a civilization older than anything we've ever known." Wren stepped closer, his helmet reflecting the swirling lights. "But why was it hidden?" "Maybe it was meant to be found," Arlen said quietly. The holographic stars shifted. Slowly they aligned into a path, a trail of light leading far beyond their current position. The end of the path glowed brighter than the rest, pulsing like a heartbeat. The crew fell silent. "What's it pointing to?" Mira asked. Valen's voice shook with excitement. "A destination. Something important. Something waiting for us." Holt frowned. "Or something that destroyed them." The lights flickered. For a moment the hologram dimmed, and a sound echoed in the chamber. It was not mechanical. It was a whisper. Soft, alien, but almost human. Mira shivered. Did you hear that? The whisper came again, low and broken, like a voice carried through water. It was impossible to understand, yet the tone carried weight. Warning, pleading. Captain, Mira whispered again, her earlier fear returning. We shouldn't be here. Arlen looked at the pulsing light on the star map. His heart pounded with the weight of discovery. Humanity had always looked up at the stars and wondered. Now the stars themselves seemed to be calling back. He straightened, his decision made. We came here to find answers. And we will. Whatever lies at the end of that path, humanity deserves to know. The chamber's light grew stronger, as if reacting to his words. The path of stars shone brighter, guiding them forward. None of them noticed the shadows moving faintly at the edges of the room. The chamber of stars kept glowing around the crew of the Endeavor. The swirling galaxy hovered above them, every star shining like a living flame. At its center, the bright pulsing light still called to them, steady and unshaken like a beacon. Captain Arlen watched it with narrowed eyes. He had seen many strange things in his years of exploration, but never anything like this. This was not just a map. It was a message. Mira stood beside him, her arms crossed tightly. She looked uneasy, her breath shallow in the helmet. Captain, this doesn't feel like just information. It feels alive, like it wants us to follow. Dr. Valen's face was lit with wonder, his eyes wide behind his visor. Exactly. Don't you see? This is the greatest discovery in human history. Whoever built this, whoever left it, wanted us to continue their journey. Holt grunted. Or they wanted bait. Ever think of that? Big glowing sign. Follow me, and we just march into a trap. Wren tilted his head as he studied the light. But if it is a trap, then why hide it behind curtains and silence for so long? Why wait until now? The chamber pulsed again, as if responding. The stars shifted and new shapes appeared in the air. They saw alien cities floating above oceans, towers taller than mountains, and machines that bent gravity like it was clay. Vast fleets of ships soared between suns, faster than anything humans had ever built. Mira's mouth fell open. They're showing us what they had. Dr. Valen stepped forward eagerly, reaching toward the projection as though he could touch the images. Knowledge, power, technology beyond our dreams. This is not a warning, it's a gift. But as he moved closer, the whisper returned. It slid through the chamber, low and broken, rising and falling like the breath of some unseen creature. Arlen raised a hand. Valen, step back. The historian froze, his hand just inches from the light. He looked over his shoulder, torn between fear and longing. Captain, we can't turn away from this. This is why we came to the stars. The crew argued for hours inside the alien station. Valen wanted to unlock every detail of the star map. He believed it was a treasure left behind for those brave enough to find it. Holt thought it was dangerous, a trap designed to lure explorers to their doom. Wren remained undecided, torn between curiosity and caution. Mira spoke the least, but her eyes never left the pulsing light. Arlen listened to them all but said little. His mind was heavy with choice. He knew discoveries like this could change humanity forever. A single piece of alien technology might push Earth forward by centuries. Yet something about the whisper unsettled him. It was not random noise. It felt like a voice. That night, when the others returned to the Endeavor to rest, Arlen remained in the chamber. He stood alone beneath the stars. The whisper came again, clearer than before. Words seemed to form at the edge of hearing, though no translator could make sense of them. Still, the meaning pressed against his mind. Come, follow, take the path. Arlen clenched his fists. He felt the weight of humanity pressing on his shoulders. The hunger for knowledge, the hope of survival, the drive to grow. For centuries, humans had looked up at the sky and wondered if they were alone. Now the sky itself seemed to answer. But was it offering a hand? Or a chain? The next day, Mira confronted him. You stayed here last night, didn't you? Her tone was calm, but her eyes burned with worry. I can see it on your face. The chamber. It speaks, doesn't it? Arlen hesitated. He trusted Mira more than anyone on the crew. Slowly he nodded. She bit her lip. Then we can't follow it. Captain, it doesn't want to help us. It wants to lead us somewhere for its own reasons. That isn't a gift. That's control. Arlen looked back at the chamber where the star path glowed brighter with every passing hour. He could almost feel it pulsing in his chest like a second heartbeat. Mira, he said softly, what if this is the test? What if the ones who built this wanted to see if we were strong enough to choose, to take the risk? Or what if they just want to use us? She shot back. Humans aren't pawns. We can't let ourselves become tools for something we don't understand. Arlen said nothing, but the light continued to glow, and in his heart, the temptation grew. Later, the whole crew returned to the chamber. The map had changed again. Now it showed images of humans, not real ones, but figures shaped in human form made of starlight. They were shown standing beside alien beings holding strange tools, commanding ships that looked half human, half alien. Phelan's voice broke with awe. It's us. It's showing us what we could become. Holt scowled. It's not showing us. It's telling us. There's a difference, Ren whispered almost to himself. But what if it's true? What if we're meant for this? Mira shook her head, stepping back. No. We decide what we're meant for, not them. Not anyone else. The whisper filled the chamber again, louder now, wrapping around them like a storm of voices. The starlight shimmered and grew, nearly blinding. The path of stars burned brighter, pulling at their minds, their hearts. For a moment, each crew member saw visions, personal, powerful, impossible. Arlen saw Earth united, no hunger, no war, cities shining brighter than stars. Mira saw chains of light wrapping around Earth, every human bound by alien will. Phelan saw himself remembered in history as the man who unlocked the secrets of the stars. Holt saw ships burning, humans screaming, a trap closing shut. Ren saw himself flying through galaxies free and endless, with no limits. They staggered back, shaken. What was that? Ren gasped. Temptation, Mira whispered. Arlen steadied himself. His hands trembled, but his voice was firm. Enough. Whatever this chamber is, it's trying to sway us. Maybe it offers truth. Maybe lies. But either way, it's trying to control the choice. He looked at his crew one by one. We can argue forever, but in the end, we must decide. Do we follow the path, or do we walk away? The chamber pulsed harder, the whisper growing desperate, almost angry. The stars swirled faster, the bright beacon flaring as though it feared being denied. Mira grabbed Arlen's arm again, just as she had before. Her eyes burned with the same warning. Captain, please stop, don't let it decide for us. Arlen stared at the pulsing light, his heart thundering. Around him, the crew waited, torn between hope and fear. Humanity itself seemed to hang on the edge of that moment, and still the stars burned, demanding an answer. The chamber of stars trembled as if alive. The pulsing beacon at its heart grew brighter, flooding the room with light. The whisper was no longer faint. It pressed into their ears, into their minds, louder, faster, pleading, commanding. Follow, take the path, surrender. The crew of the Endeavor stood frozen beneath the swirl of galaxies. They could feel the weight of the choice pulling at them. To follow the path was to grasp power beyond imagination, or fall into a trap too large to escape. Captain Arlen's jaw tightened. Sweat rolled down his temple despite the cool suit around his body. He turned slowly, looking at each member of his crew. Their faces told him everything. Phelan's eyes burned with hunger. He wanted the knowledge, the legacy. Holt's fists were clenched in anger. He wanted to smash the chamber, to destroy the voice before it could deceive them further. Ren stood torn, caught between wonder and fear, drifting like a leaf on the tide of light. And Mira, her expression was steady, calm, but her eyes were fixed on Arlen. She was waiting for him to choose. The whisper thundered again. The stars swirled faster. The beacon flared like a sun ready to explode. Captain, Mira said firmly, her voice clear despite the chaos. It isn't offering us a gift. It's demanding control. We can't let it. But what if she's wrong? Phelan snapped. His voice cracked, full of desperation. What if this is the one chance for humanity to rise? To leap forward by thousands of years? You'd throw that away because of fear? Not fear, Mira shot back. Choice. That's what makes us human. We choose our path. We don't let something else choose it for us, Holt growled, stepping forward. She's right. Whatever this thing is, it wants us on a leash. I'd rather die free than live chained. Ren rubbed his temples, his face pale. But what if? What if it's the only way? What if we walk away and humanity stays small forever? The chamber answered for them. The holographic stars shifted once more, and now the crew saw Earth itself in the air. They saw the blue oceans, the green lands, the shining cities. They saw it rise, ships launching by the thousands, humans walking among alien stars carrying tools and weapons they could not yet imagine. It was glorious. Too glorious. Then the vision twisted. They saw chains of light wrapping around Earth, pulling tight. They saw the shining cities crumble, the skies filled with alien ships. The voice whispered louder, almost screaming now, offering one future while threatening another. Follow or fall. Submit or perish, Arlen's heart pounded. He stepped forward, placing himself between the crew and the beacon. The light burned against his suit, against his skin, but he stood firm. Enough. His voice rang through the chamber. We are not your servants. We are not your children. We are human. And that means we decide for ourselves. The whisper surged into a roar, shaking the walls. The galaxy above them twisted violently, stars crashing into stars, suns flaring and dying. The room shook as if the station itself would tear apart. Mira grabbed his arm. Captain! Arlen gritted his teeth. His hands clenched at his sides. If you want our answer, then here it is, no. We will not follow. We will not kneel. Humanity will walk its own path, even if it is harder, even if it takes longer. That is who we are. The chamber screamed. Light erupted in every direction, burning white and endless. The crew staggered, shielding their eyes. For a moment they thought they were about to be destroyed. But then the light changed, it softened. The roar faded. The stars above them slowed, no longer twisting, no longer forcing. The beacon pulsed one last time, then dimmed. The chamber grew still. Arlen lowered his hand slowly, his breath heavy. Around him the crew looked stunned, their helmets reflecting the fading glow. What just happened? Wren whispered. Dr. Valen collapsed to his knees, trembling. It's gone. The voice, the map, everything. He sounded broken, like a man who had seen paradise and watched it vanish. Holt let out a long breath. Good riddance. Mira's gaze remained on Arlen. For the first time she smiled faintly. It tested us, and we passed. Arlen nodded slowly. Maybe it was never meant to give us power. Maybe it just wanted to see what we would choose, whether we'd surrender our will or hold on to it. Then what was it? Wren asked. A machine? A mind? A god? Arlen looked up at the dark ceiling where the galaxy had once burned. Whatever it was, it learned something today. It learned what it means to be human. The crew returned to the Endeavor. As the docking clamps released, the ancient station began to shudder behind them. Cracks spread across its surface and pieces of it drifted into the void. The chamber, the beacon, the whispers, all of it vanished into silence. The Endeavor pulled away, engines glowing. For a long while, no one spoke. Each of them sat with their own thoughts, replaying the visions, the temptation, the choice. Finally, Mira broke the silence. Captain, do you think we lost something today? Something that could have changed everything? Arlen stared out at the endless stars beyond the window. Maybe, or maybe we won something greater. Knowledge can be found again. But freedom can only be lost once. And we kept it, Holt grinned faintly. Now that's the kind of victory I can live with. Wren leaned back in his chair, still pale but calmer. So what now? Where do we go? Arlen's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. Forward. Always forward. Humanity will find its own way, without chains, without whispers. That is our path. As the Endeavor sailed into the dark, the stars seemed brighter than before. They no longer looked like unreachable lights. They looked like destinations. The crew knew their journey had only begun. The galaxy was vast, filled with secrets and dangers, wonders and trials. But whatever lay ahead, they would face it as humans. Flawed, fragile, but unbroken. And somewhere, in the silent ruins of the alien station, a final echo drifted into the void. Not a command. Not a plea, but something else, a whisper of respect,